When I was younger, around the year 1987, there was a show called The Frightful Fables of Fickle Faye. The show was aired on a local channel in Central Florida, Channel 17, if I remember correctly. The show was meant to be a mini-series around Halloween time for children. My uncle Marcus Buskirk was a producer in the early stages of creating the show. He told me that the show would use puppets to portray scary stories for children, and that the first episode would air on October 3rd, and the season finale would air on Halloween afternoon. At the end of the episode, marking the time the children would go outside eating. Being a 7-year-old girl at the time, the show seemed interesting enough, so I waited patiently as I could for October 3rd to come around. On the afternoon the show would air, I sat on the floor of the living room in front of the television, watching commercials for toys, sidewalk chalk, restaurants, and hotels as I waited for the show to start. As the theme began, the words "The Frightful Fables of Fickle Faye" appearing on the screen with dripping green letters as a loud, obnoxious piano music played in the background. The music was cut off as a small puppet with black and white stockings covered the yellowish skin on her legs. She wore a Mary Jane shoes and a dark blue skirt and a fuzzy purple sweater, walked into a dusty room with puppets resembling spiders and black cats, with glowing yellow eyes lurking in the background. The puppet, who must have been Faye, was trembling, her bright pink pigtails bobbing slightly. "Hello, everyone," she stuttered in a high-pitched voice. My name is Faye, and I'm very frightened. Tonight I would like to tell you a story. One very dark night, I was walking with my brother and 3 of our friends." The episode chronicled Faye, her twin brother Fabrin, and 3 of their friends, Amy, Mila, and Damien, walking into a dark haunted forest. The group encountered things like ghosts, witches, and monsters as they attempted to make their way through the forest back at home. The episode ended with Faye and Fabin in their shared bedroom, Fabin looking down at Faye from the top bunk, saying, "Now that wasn't so bad, was it, Faye?" Faye, who was under the covers shaking, squeaked, "No, not at all, Fabin." The episode was enough to make me want to watch the next one, so the next few weeks I watched loyal to the new show. The show grew darker and darker with every new episode. Faye's attitudes towards her brother, friends, and situations that were presented with fluctuating wildly. But the last episode was truly horrid, and no doubt was the reason for the cancellation of the show. The theme started playing, but something was off. The piano music was playing backwards, now more obnoxious than before, and the usual green letters were now blood red. Faye walked on screen and her head turned away. Her clothes were torn and blood-stained. Her skin was in the same condition. She was trembling, but not her usual comical way. It was almost like a seizure. When she turned on towards the camera, I noticed a major difference. Her usual painted-on eyes were been hollowed out and replaced with glass taxidermy eyes, looking freakishly realistic on the small, beaten puppet. "Hello, everybody. My name is Faye, and I'm not frightened anymore. This time, it's your turn to be frightened one," she said, glaring at the camera, her usual comical stutter gone. "So now, I'm here to tell you the most frightening fable yet." The screen cut to black for about 10 seconds, and then back to the room with the opening of every episode. Amy, Mila, and Damien Fabin had now joined Faye. Faye looked around at the other 4 puppets, then said, "I'll be back in a minute." The camera followed Faye to a poorly lit kitchen where she dug through the drawers looking for a specific. "Ah!" she exclaimed as she opened the drawer, pulling out a long butcher's knife. My eyes were widened in shock at the item Faye now held in her hands. The puppet ran back to the main room, where she sat abnormally close to Amy. Faye smiled for a moment before taking the knife and cutting off the arm of her friend, laughing maliciously as Amy screamed in terror. The other puppets started running, but to no avail. Faye had caught up with them and one by one began to dismember her friends, saving Fabin for last. The body parts of the other puppets that I had come to know and love stay strewn about on the floor, stuffing hanging out from detached limbs. Even a small felted heart lay on the floor. The camera zooming in for a moment, Faye stomped on it, making blood squeezed out of the material onto the floor of the dusty room. Fabian was then huddled under a large piano, begging Faye to spare his life. Not a chance, Fabian. You have always been the one to hurt me, the one to scare me all the time. The tables have turned, brother, she said coldly as she proceeded to cut his arms and legs off. Now that wasn't so bad, was it, Fabian? Not at all, Faye, Fabian stuttered, fearing for his life, as Faye took the knife, lodging it into Fabian's skull. Trick or treat, kids, Faye yelled happily as the credits started to roll. I did love that show as a kid, up until the last episode. My Uncle Marcus was never the same after this. If you find any information of the show, please tell me. And that, my pretties, was the Frightful Fables of Fickle Faye, a lost episode or lost show creepypasta. My final thoughts on this story? Well, I personally thought this was a really neat, well done lost episode pasta. I mean, it is messed up, yes, but I personally really thought it was enjoyable because of the great concept of this story. Like, I like this story full out. Like, the concept of it seemed really well made. The description of it seems to be really awesome. I personally thought this was a really neat story. It's definitely well done and it's definitely well made. I personally really enjoyed the pasta. I mean, it's messed up of what Faye did, but I can definitely see this being the case of why it would be too scary. So that's one of the things I can say about this story, that I personally do say that it was definitely well done. It's actually believable in a sense because everything about this was very believable. And I definitely do have to say that this story was definitely had believable stuff, which I personally thought this was a really great concept. Now, now I personally do think the grammar was pretty good. I mean, I did spot a few grammatical errors, and I think I spot a few punctuation errors as well. But with that being said, I personally thought this was a really neat and well done story. I mean, it's really well done, it's made, and I definitely do have to say that this one definitely is a really great movie. So I personally really thought this was enjoyable. It's definitely well made. It's really good. I mean, I personally really enjoyed it a lot. I thought this was a really good movie. I definitely do have to say this one definitely say that it's believable, but it's really well detailed. Despite it being a small story, I personally thought this was a really good one. So, I guess with that being the case and with that being said, I personally do have to say that this one is definitely a really great, it's a great concept for a story and it's really believable. So I can picture this actually being the case, especially with the detail. I mean, there's no hyperrealistic blood or gore or anything like that. I personally do think that, it's just a really great concept for a story. And I personally really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really neat and well done. Now, I do have to say, I do remember um, hearing a few narrations of this, and this story was not that bad. I personally thought this was really good, especially with the concept and everything about it. It's really well done. Like, I definitely do have to say that whoever wrote this story actually put his or her time and effort into the story, which is a very, very good thing. Because, most of these lost episode stories are not that good, but this one, I definitely do have to say it's definitely well done and it was definitely well made. So I personally really enjoyed this a whole lot. I thought it was really good and well done, especially with everything about this. Now, I do have to say I do enjoy this a whole lot. I thought it was really neat and well done. So, yeah, I personally really do have to say it's enjoyable and well done. I personally think that, the concept of it seemed really well done. I mean, it's a bit cliched, but not too cliched. And that's a really good improvement of this story that I personally really do like. I do like the concept of how well made this story was. I love it. I personally think, this one had a lot of time and effort into it, and it's definitely one of the best ones I've seen. So, I guess with that being said and that being the case, I'm going to sit here and say right now that this is just, I don't know who the author of this story is, so I'm going to leave it as anonymous for now. If I ever find out who the original author is, I'll be sure to give him proper credit. So anyways, with that being the case and with that being said, like I'm always going to say, I'm going to leave this as anonymous for now until I find out who the author is. So if the author manages to find this story, I will give them proper credit if they ever comment on this video. So anyways, with that being said and with that being the case, like I'm always going to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with it, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas. It's just simply my own personal thoughts. I'm going to give this story a 9 out of 10. It's a really enjoyable story. It's definitely well done. I mean, it's a little cliched, but I personally thought this was a really neat and well done story. I personally really do enjoy the concept of this story, so it's pretty good, to be honest. Now, anyways, with that being said, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm Shadow the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. As always, if you guys want to go follow me on Blue Sky, follow me on Twitter, follow me on DeviantArt, and follow me on my backup channel known as Mr. Archigo, as links to those will be in the About page section, so you guys can go follow me on there if you want. And as always, I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace out, and like always, roll the outro, because I'm out.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Ms. Darkshigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please stay pretty.